Welcome to Leadership from the Heart, the podcast that dives deep into the world of operational focused leadership. I'm your host, Romie, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on the journey of discovery, growth, and transformation. In each episode, we'll explore the essential principles of effective leadership that not only drive results, but also touch the very core of the human connection. At Leadership from the Heart, we believe that leadership is more than just a title. It's a commitment to inspire, empower, and guide with authenticity and compassion. Welcome back, tribe, to another episode of Leadership from the Heart. In today's episode, we're discussing courageous conversations, also known as difficult conversations. And in my experience, this is among the top 3 critical areas in leadership. It's not easy having difficult conversations, so most leaders just avoid them altogether, which creates another problem entirely. Avoiding those tough conversations in leadership allow the issues to grow and to fester. So the question is, why do so many leaders avoid or dislike having difficult conversations? This isn't just a one-answer question. There's so many factors that contribute to the reasoning. However, as we dig deeper, we found that most leaders who avoid tough conversations are due to the fear of confrontation, the concern of damaging relationships, their uncertain and lack of confidence in having a productive conversation. They fear their own criticism that may come out, and the lack of skill or training needed to have the effective conversation. And while some of these reasons certainly overlap for most individuals, the number one reason why leaders often avoid difficult conversations is because they have a fear of causing discomfort or negative emotions for either themselves or for the other person involved. People generally don't like to deliver or receive tough messages that may lead to some discomfort or conflict or emotional distress. The fear of discomfort can overshadow the potential benefits of addressing the issues directly and constructively. And so to overcome this avoidance, leaders need to recognize the importance of balancing honesty and empathy in the difficult conversations. This aims to create an environment where open communication is valued and feedback is seen as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat to the relationship or job. So while I was attending a leadership training years ago, I asked the facilitator for some advice. I had this one particular employee that I had a difficult time coaching due to what I perceived as her oversensitivity. The facilitator minced no words and simply asked, "Why do you think you're avoiding it? Do you think you're doing it for you, or do you think you're doing it for her?" And I immediately answered, I said, "It's for her. Every time we begin to have a tough conversation," I said, "she begins to cry, and I spend the rest of the time putting her back together." And so she asked the question again, "So who's uncomfortable, you or her?" And this time I stopped and I thought about it, and I said, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable. I was the one avoiding due to my discomfort." She said, "Exactly. So, next time you have a difficult conversation with her, can you hold space? Can you allow her to cry and to feel and simply wait for her to calm down and center herself? Even offer her some water or tissues?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I could do that." And so I took that advice, and I've never looked back, because I saw immediate improvement in my relationship with that employee. We were able to say what needed to be said to each other. I was able to learn how to hold space for my employees better than I had before. And I was able to listen and respond to feedback with honesty and empathy. So let's get you, leader, a little more comfortable with having courageous conversations. This is an art and a muscle that needs to be built over time to get to that expert level, if ever you get to the expert level. When I started in my leadership journey over 15 years ago, this is what I used, and I still use to this day. Number 1, you need to prepare yourself. You need to take a moment to gather your thoughts and understand the key points that you want to address. Consider the facts and the emotions involved. Think about the person you're going to speak to. This is where you'd line up any information that you have, not to slap it down and say, I gotcha, but to have in case it's needed. I found that I've hardly ever needed to pull out the data as evidence because it's all about the approach. Number 2, choose the right time and the right place. It's nice as a leader to find a quiet, private space where both parties can talk without interruption. And timing matters. Choose a moment where everyone is calm and focused. If the employee or the team is having a crap day, maybe we just don't have that conversation on that day. If and only if it can wait, then please wait for a better time. There's no perfect time, but there's always a better time to have the conversation. Number 3, start positively. Begin the conversation on a positive note or acknowledgement. It helps create a more receptive atmosphere. I like to start all of these conversations with questions, not statements. The truth is, you're on an inquiry trying to understand. You're not in a courtroom trying to prove. Number 4, use I statements. Express your concerns using I statements to avoid sounding accusatory. For example, you say, I feel concerned about, instead of, you always fill in the blank. This one is great for both professional and personal relationships. Own your perception, own your feelings. This allows others to own their perceptions and feelings as well. Number 5, be a good listener. Allow the other person to share their perspective without interruption. This shows evidence of understanding and shows respect. 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. Try to get out of your head and be as present as possible. I know that you have the bag of evidence in your hand, but again, it's about having a conversation to understand more. Number 6, stay calm and empathetic. Keep your emotions in check and show empathy. This helps in maintaining a constructive and open dialogue. Know yourself enough to know that whatever this person says, even if it's at you, it's not about you. It's always about how they are feeling inside. Difficult conversations are just as tough for the receiver as they are the giver. So try to remind yourself how they may feel. The calmer you are, the calmer they are. Number 7, focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on the problem, work together to find solutions. Collaborate on actionable steps that can address the issues at hand. This is where the questions come in, like, how can I help you overcome that issue? Or how can I support you better? Or is there anything I can do to help? You'd be surprised by the solutions found and how easily conflict can be resolved. Number 8, agree on the next steps. Clearly outline what actions will be taken to move forward. Establishing a plan helps ensure accountability and progress. I personally like to repeat and have them repeat what we both agreed upon in our own words for understanding. Number 9, express appreciation. At the end of the conversation, end by expressing gratitude for the willingness to engage in the discussion. It leaves a positive impression even in difficult situations. I've left most of my difficult conversations with both parties saying thank you, because it's understood that we came here to understand more and not to blame. It's a big, big deal. And lastly, number 10, check in on the progress of the discussed solution. It reinforces accountability and shows your commitment to resolution. I usually do this informally, especially if both agreements are being upheld, meaning I just don't schedule another meeting to check in on them. I just make myself available to see them in the hallway, by the water cooler, wherever they are. I just make sure that I make myself available, and then I casually ask, how's it going? An example of a conversation starter for an employee who is underperforming may be, hey, I've noticed that for the past 3 weeks, your insert KPI metrics have dropped by X amount. So I just wanted to talk and ask if there was anything that was slowing you down. The employee may say, yes, this is what's slowing me down, and now you as a leader get to step in and help. Now, if the employee says, no, there's nothing slowing me down and nothing has changed, you get to ask more questions. Questions like, okay, so do you feel that you're operating at the same level you were 4 weeks ago? Or, okay, so can you walk me through your current process? I'd like to understand and see if there's something that I'm missing or overlooking in the data. The goal is to continuously peel back the onion, always focusing on the person's overall well-being and the business results. You don't use absolutes, and you do not attack the person's characteristics or traits. What I mean by absolutes is we're not saying things like you always or you never. And you don't attack the person by claiming that they're untruthful or they're slow or begin name calling. These things just don't help the conversation, nor do they make for a productive employee or leader. Approaching these conversations with the intent to improve your understanding is the single most important part of this entire thing. Forgetting about the story that you formed in your head about the situation and ask questions. This helps prevent and clear up any misunderstandings. People don't know, but they often wear their intent on their sleeve. It's always obvious in your questioning, in your statements, and especially in your nonverbals, meaning your body language. There is so much good that can come from leaders having more courageous conversations. These conversations open up transparency. It allows everyone to know where they stand so that nobody's in the dark. It improves morale as team members who thought that so-and-so was getting away with something is no longer getting away with it. It inadvertently increases accountability. And last but not least, having courageous conversations help build team resilience. Teams that can navigate through tough conversations together become resilient. I love peer-to-peer accountability. And when you as a leader establish or create this environment where we can handle it, then everybody steps in and everybody holds everyone accountable. And with that, we've concluded this week's episode. My hope for you is that you feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident in having more courageous conversations. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, I know that your time is valuable, and I'm so grateful that you chose to spend it with us. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Leadership from the Heart. We hope that you've gained valuable tools and inspiration to transform your leadership approach and create lasting impact within your organization. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps us reach more aspiring leaders like you. Remember, leadership is a journey, and it's one that we're all on together. So until next time, lead with purpose, lead with empathy, and lead from your heart. This is Romie Montpeirous signing off, reminding you that your leadership has the power to shape a brighter future for all.